This is Jerome Durley Hickman Jr. I'm going to give you my opinion about this law, about these people getting arrested and getting locked up by the police because they went out and voted when they wasn't supposed to go and vote. And I'm going to give you my opinion on that. And this happened over in Florida not too long ago. There was some people that was at their houses, and police officers came over there and told them they was going to be arrested because they claimed to say that it's voting fraud what they did. Because apparently these people had convicted felons. They're convicted felons, and they're not allowed to vote. Well, then the thing how it's said in Florida is you are allowed to vote if you're a convicted felon. But it also depends on what crimes that you commit to get that felony. So, and they said that if you did any sex crimes, if you did any, if you commit murder, like you commit murder or whatever, that you have to somehow get permission from the government to get your voting rights or something back or whatever. And it's possible you may get them. It's possible you may not get them. But the situation is that I just don't think that these people should have been arrested and taken to jail because whatever felonies they have, they wouldn't vote it without permission. I'm sorry, but I just don't think they should lock these people up for going to the polls and voting when they knew they didn't have the right to vote anyway and knew they weren't supposed to vote. Because my opinion is that, okay, I think voting should be a civil right, not a privilege. It should not be a privilege in America or any country to have the right to vote. It should be a civil right to have a right to vote. And the reason why I say this is because if people go out here and work and pay taxes to the state, they pay state taxes, local taxes, federal taxes, they should have the right to vote no matter what. It don't matter what crime they commit. It don't matter what crime that they commit. They should have the right to vote. As long as they're not on probation, or as long as they're not on papers, or as long as they're not on parole, and they are through with the legal system, just because they got a felony, they should have the right to go out here and vote. Okay? Because it's not right to tell people they can't vote, but you're taking their money. You're taking taxpayers' money from them. I feel like if they don't have a right to vote and you don't want them to be part of the community or part of the government, then quit taking their tax money from them. Let them be tax-free if that's the case. But the thing is that you should still have the right to vote regardless. I don't care if you're a murderer. I don't care if you're a sex offender. And I know I don't want to offend anybody by saying this, but if you're a child molester, if you got a history of being a pedophile, you still have that civil right to vote. You know what I mean? And I think it don't matter what you do. All I'm saying is you go out here and work and pay taxes. You should have the right to vote. Voting rights should be a civil right, not a privilege. And I would say that I don't know how to say this, but I would say that why should why should people in Florida spend taxpayers' dollars locking people up in jail over some petty stuff like that? I'm not trying to use the S word, but over some petty stuff, over some petty shit like that. Come on. It's pitiful. If they went out and voted when they knew they weren't supposed to, then that's, I'm sorry. There's a different way that they could handle them people. They could have called them people and told them, well, your vote didn't go through because you are a convicted felon and you committed a certain crime, that you're going to have to get your voting rights on. That's how they should have did it. They didn't have to go and lock these people up. It's ridiculous. So this is Jerome Durley Hickman Jr., and I just want to tell you about that law in Florida. I guess where people got locked up claim to say that they commit voting fraud. You know what I mean? And the thing about voting fraud to me is voting fraud is where to me it's like if you try to vote the one time and then you go back and try to vote again on the same on different day. Like let's say I vote this day, but I go back and vote another day on the same politicians or whatever. Then that to me that's voting fraud, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So that's how I consider voting fraud. It's where you already went out and vote, then you go back and vote again another day. So you can maybe help them politicians get more votes to beat the opponent or whatever. You know what I mean? But that little thing about people voting and they don't have the right to vote, that's not voting fraud to me. It's not. So this is Jerome Hickman Jr. I gotta go now. Bye.